This video is brought to you by EXPRESSVPN. What's it like to fly cross-country in your very own studio apartment in the sky? Spoiler alert, it was pretty amazing. JetBlue already had one of the best domestic business class products in the US through its Mint service. But they've just stepped it up even more by introducing a completely reimagined Mint cabin. Our family recently flew the brand new Mint Studio Suites from LAX to JFK. These private suites currently offer the most space and a premium experience from any US airline. In this video, we'll share what the experience was like from check-in to boarding, from the cocktails to the food, from the amenity kits to the in-flight entertainment. We'll go over which routes you can find these suites on, how much you can expect to pay in either cash or points, and how to find these new Mint Studio Suites when you go online to book your flights, because it is a bit tricky. Even though JetBlue Mint is primarily aimed at business travelers, after experiencing the product, we actually think that the Studio Suites are a particularly good choice for family travelers as well. We'll explain why that is in this video, so keep watching. Hey, welcome back to Top Flight Family. My name is Carmen Sognonvi, and I'm so excited to tell you all about our family's experience flying in the new JetBlue Mint Studio Suites on the Airbus A321neo. JetBlue first introduced Mint, its premium class option, back in 2014. At first, it was only available on flights between New York and San Francisco and between New York and Los Angeles. At the time, its competitors Delta, American, and United were all operating lie-flat seats on their transcontinental routes. It was hard for JetBlue to compete since it had an all-economy class cabin. But once it introduced Mint, JetBlue was able to compete effectively, and it went on to capture a big part of that premium market. Now that it's established a strong foothold in the transcontinental airfare market, JetBlue is ready for its next challenge: to compete for premium travel between the US and Europe. And that's where this reimagined JetBlue Mint cabin comes into play. While the airline is currently operating this cabin between JFK and LAX, beginning in August, it will offer daily transatlantic service between JFK and London Heathrow, operating the new Mint cabin on the Airbus A321LR. Soon after that, JetBlue will launch flights from JFK to London Gatwick, and after that, in 2022, it will also offer flights from Boston to London. As you can see, JetBlue has some big plans, and they're really hoping that the quality of this new Mint cabin will convince some Delta, American, or United loyalists to switch over and give them a try. We flew out of Terminal 5 at LAX in Los Angeles. In addition to JetBlue, this terminal is home to flights for Air Canada, American, Hawaiian, and Spirit. We flew carry-on only as usual, and we had our electronic boarding passes on our phones, so we didn't need to visit any check-in counters at the airport. But I believe that this terminal has a separate check-in line for Mint and Mosaic passengers. As you know, we love using Clear since it helps us get through airport security so quickly. But even though on the Clear website it says that they offer the service at LAX's Terminal 5, we didn't see any sign of Clear when we got there. I'm not sure if it's temporarily unavailable because of COVID, or if it just hasn't been rolled out here yet. If you fly out of this terminal often and you can shed any light on this, please leave a comment because I'd love to know. Luckily, there wasn't much of a wait at the TSA pre-check line, so it didn't take long for us to clear security. By the way, if you want some tips on how to get through airport security quickly, we have a whole video about that, and I'll link it down below. Now, one huge drawback of flying JetBlue Mint versus any other transcontinental premium option is that JetBlue does not have its own lounges. In JFK's Terminal 5, JetBlue passengers used to have access to a small contract lounge called Airspace Lounge, but that was closed permanently a few years ago. In LAX's Terminal 5, it's pretty much the same story. JetBlue doesn't have its own lounge, nor does it have a partnership with any contract lounges. As far as I can tell, the only lounge that exists in Terminal 5 is the Admirals Club from American Airlines, but that is temporarily closed. But even if you had a membership to the Admirals Club, I imagine you'd actually need to be flying on an American flight that day to use it, so that wouldn't really help anyway. JetBlue executives have made it clear in public statements that the airline has no plans to open its own lounges because they would rather focus on keeping fares low. So all that to say, we had to wait for our flight by the gate, which was not a particularly premium ground experience with which to start our journey. But that just goes with the territory if you're flying JetBlue Mint. If you want to learn about airport lounges and why they're so useful when you travel with kids, we have a whole video about that too, which I'll link below. Boarding started 45 minutes later than it was supposed to, but once it started, the boarding process was very smooth, with Mint and Mosaic passengers boarding first. Before I take you on a tour of the Mint Studio Suite, let me first explain the layout of this redesigned cabin. The old Mint cabin on the Airbus A321 alternates between a 2-2 and a 1-1 configuration, but this new Mint cabin features a 1-1 configuration throughout, with 16 suites in total with the seats placed in a herringbone arrangement. Every single suite has direct aisle access. The first row of suites, seats 1A and 1B, are the Mint Studio Suites. These have more square footage than the 14 suites behind them, they feature a larger TV screen, and they have an extra seat so that you can have a companion join you for a meal or a movie. I took Studio Suite 1A, Serge took the other Studio Suite across the aisle in 1F, and the girls were in the regular Mint Suites in seats 3A and 3F, just because the seats in row 2 were already sold out when we booked this flight. Okay, with all that out of the way, let me take you on a tour of the JetBlue Mint Studio Suite. At 22.7 square feet, this suite now officially has the most space in a premium experience from any US airline. We'll work our way from left to right, starting with the entertainment screen. The regular Mint Studios on this aircraft have a 17-inch screen, but the Mint Studio Suites have a massive 22-inch screen. The screen swivels and tilts, so it's easy to keep watching your movie no matter what position your seat is in. Right under the TV is a little storage tray. Mine was full of Hermes catalogs, which presumably the last passenger had left there, but the tray is large enough to hold a laptop. Below the storage tray is the footwell, and below that is a space to stow your personal item. Next to the TV and the wall is a little storage locker with a mesh pocket and a mirror. Underneath the counter is a universal and a USB-C outlet. And next to that is an extra table that you can pull out. This is great if you just want extra counter space to work, but it also allows a companion to join you for a meal, as Ella demonstrates here by wolfing down some imaginary food. The extra seat has a seat belt, which means that your companion can stay safe while they're sitting with you. Above the seat next to the window, there's a wireless charging pad for your devices. I couldn't quite get it to work with my iPhone 12 Pro Max, but hopefully other passengers had better luck. Next to the charging pad is another storage compartment. This one comes pre-stocked with bottled water on one side, and the other side is meant to be a place to store your headphones. More on that later. The leather seat is very comfortable. It comes with a shoulder harness in addition to the regular seat belt, but you only have to wear the harness during takeoff and landing. Because of the herringbone arrangement of the seats, the two windows in the suite are more or less behind you, but it's still possible to look out of them if you turn your body a bit. Near the right-hand armrest, you'll find the controls for the seat. You can use the arrows in the main control panel to completely customize your seat's position. A couple of other channels that reviewed this cabin mentioned that it's easy to accidentally activate these controls because they're located so close to your elbow, and I found this to be the case too at the start of the flight. But then I got used to it and it didn't happen again as the flight continued on. Above that is a little reading light. Near the seat controls is a second universal outlet, and this time also with a USB-A outlet. Below that is the remote control for the TV, as well as one-touch buttons that either put the seat in a lie flat position or raise it all the way up for takeoff and landing. The bed is really comfortable, and the extra seat in the studio suite means that you get lots of extra width to stretch out. The footwell feels spacious, not narrow and cramped like some other business class seats. This bed even got the tall person seal of approval from Serge, who's 6'2" and found it very comfortable. There's a table which slides out and is shaped like a mint leaf, very on brand. And above that is the latch which allows you to close the door to your suite for privacy. Note that you'll only be able to close your door after takeoff, which is when the cabin crew will release the door lock. All the suites in this cabin have individual air vents, which is great because it gives you some control over the temperature. Our flight attendants on this flight were Caesar and Jody, so shout out to them. If you're curious about what the rest of this aircraft looks like, this Airbus A321neo has 7 rows of even more space seats, which is basically JetBlue's version of premium economy, and 17 rows of economy seats. They kept the cabins too dark for me to get good footage, so instead here are some clips I shot when we flew the same aircraft to Jamaica a few months ago. As you can see, the cabin has some stylish design touches like colored light panels and pops of orange in the even more space section. Even the bathroom is pretty swanky with this pretty accent wall. By the way, if you're new to this channel, we're the Sognonvi family. There's me, Carmen, my husband Serge, and our daughters Sean and Ella. We work full-time as travel creators, and we're all about inspiring families to explore the world together in comfort and style. We share tips on how you can save time, reduce hassle, and maximize comfort when you travel with kids. If that sounds good to you, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on our next video. Our family has set a goal of visiting 21 resorts in 2021. Why resorts? Well, we actually have a whole video that explains that, which I'll link below. I'll also link to our 21 resorts in 2021 playlist so you can check out all the properties we'll be visiting. Right before takeoff, the flight attendants will come through to take your food and drink orders. You can order your cocktails at this time, plus any wine you'd like to have with your meal. And you'll choose 3 out of 5 small plates for your meal. I'll be sharing more about the food shortly, so stay tuned. But for now, here's some takeoff ASMR for those of you who love this part of flying. After takeoff, it was time for cocktails. The first drink I had was JetBlue's signature drink, which is called Mint Condition. And this one really lives up to the hype. Mine was made with Tito's vodka, ginger, lime, cucumber, and mint. But if you prefer gin, you can get it with Bombay Sapphire. It was so good that I had a second one, and Surge had, well, let's just say we lost count. Caesar was definitely not stingy with the drinks. If you're a whiskey lover, you can also order a black maple old-fashioned. This one is made of Jack Daniels, maple, bitters, and orange peel. JetBlue recently upgraded the headphones that it offers Mint passengers. Audio brand Master & Dynamic developed a model called MH40, which is exclusive to JetBlue Mint. They're noise canceling, and they have what the company calls a vintage aviation-inspired design. I'm definitely no audiophile, but they sounded great to me for what that's worth. The only thing is that we all had to request the headphones. Even though there's a storage compartment in the suite specifically designed to hold these headphones, they weren't in there at the start of the flight, presumably to guard against theft. That was some foreshadowing, so stay tuned. As far as in-flight entertainment goes, JetBlue offers a variety of TV shows and movies, as well as live TV. I thought that the kids section was a little bit light on selections, but the girls didn't complain too much about it, so I guess it didn't bother them. JetBlue offers free Wi-Fi to all passengers, but I only connected to the Wi-Fi towards the end of the flight. The speed was fine, not crazy fast, but solid enough for simple tasks. Speaking of Wi-Fi, it's important to remember that anytime you connect to a public Wi-Fi network, there's a risk that hackers can get to your passwords, financial details, or even your emails. That's why we always use EXPRESSVPN when we travel. With a single subscription, you can connect up to 5 devices at the same time, which makes it perfect for families. EXPRESSVPN encrypts your internet connection using the highest standards of encryption currently available. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer billions of years to crack. We've been using EXPRESSVPN for years now, and I always recommend it to everyone. Go to expressvpn.com/topflightfamily and find out how you can get 3 months free. Okay, let's talk about the amenity kits. JetBlue actually offers 4 different amenity kits to Mint passengers. If you're on a morning flight, you get the Awake kit, which has items like mint breath spray, collagen creamer, and repair cream. If you're on a lunch or dinner flight like we were, you get a Flow kit. I'll show you those contents in a moment. If you're on a red eye, you get a Sleep kit, which includes a body wipe, recovery cream, and restful mist. And if you're flying Mint on a Caribbean flight, you get a special renewal kit, which includes anti-aging serum, SPF lotion, and oxygen mist. JetBlue also offers a snooze kit, which includes a sleep mask, earplugs, and a toothbrush. More on that one soon. Every Mint suite also comes with a memory foam pillow and a blanket with a built-in foot pocket, both from the mattress and bedding brand Tuft & Needle. When we boarded the flight, each of the Mint suites had an amenity kit already placed on the table. Every suite, that is, except Ella's. When we alerted Caesar that Ella never received an amenity kit, he was very apologetic, and he explained that non-Mint passengers sometimes swipe them as they walk through the Mint cabin, because apparently us New Yorkers are just that grimy. He said that the airline only gives them exactly enough amenity kits to cover 1 per suite, and because of that, unfortunately, there wasn't an extra one to give Ella, so I ended up giving her mine. So what's in the Flow amenity kit? Well, let me take you through it. You get a pair of socks, a Fly Healthy pack that includes individual packets of electrolytes, probiotics, and a nutritional supplement, an immunity-boosting soft chew, a deodorant wipe, more electrolytes, a moisturizing lip mask, and a recovery cream for dry skin. Later on in the flight, the cabin crew gave Sean and Ella a snooze kit with a sleep mask, earplugs, and a toothbrush. But for some reason, neither Surge nor I got one. I'm not sure if they just didn't have enough snooze kits to give out to everyone in Mint, or if they're just available upon request. Though the girls didn't actually request them, they just showed up. It wasn't that big of a deal since I didn't really end up sleeping much on the flight anyway. Okay, let's talk about the food. For its revamped meals on Mint, JetBlue has partnered with Delicious Hospitality Group. This company runs several popular restaurants in New York, including Charlie Bird, Legacy Records, and Pasquale Jones. The menu that you get on your flight will depend on your direction of travel and your departure time. And in general, JetBlue alternates the menus pretty often to keep things fresh. The meals on our flight were created by Pasquale Jones, which is an upscale pizzeria in Manhattan's Little Italy. We had 5 small plates to choose from, 2 cold, 3 warm. The options were a chopped salad with salami, provolone, roasted tomatoes, and olives, burrata served with zucchini, pine nuts, basil, and mint, a warm tomato tart with goat cheese and basil, sea trout with cannellini bean puree, roasted tomatoes, and garlic breadcrumbs, and chicken cacciatore with tomatoes, mushrooms, olives, and rosemary breadcrumbs. I chose the tomato tart, the sea trout, and the chicken, and they were all excellent. The tomato tart had a hearty crust, which I enjoyed a lot. The chicken cacciatore was really flavorful. The sauce was especially good. The sea trout had a nice crisp to the outside, and the cannellini beans were packed with flavor. Now, if you want to amp up the flavors even more, your meal is served with a small bottle of extra virgin olive oil, a packet of chili oil, and a box of flaky sea salt. We actually use this brand of salt all the time at home. It's really, really good stuff. With dinner, I had the Trienne Rosé, which is a nice dry and crisp rosé from the Provence region. The dessert was great too. It was vanilla gelato served with roasted rhubarb and olive oil cake crumble. As I mentioned at the start of the video, even though JetBlue Mint is primarily aimed at business travelers, I actually think that these new studio suites are a particularly good choice for premium family travelers as well. The extra seat and table in this suite are total game changers. As you can see, me, Sean, and Ella can all fit comfortably in the studio suite. So if you're traveling with kids, they could easily start in their own Mint suite at takeoff, but then join you in your studio suite for the whole flight until landing. You can share meals here, watch movies together, and since the extra seat has a seatbelt, there's no safety concern if you encounter any turbulence. So how do you book these new JetBlue Mint Studio Suites? Well, at the time of this recording, these new cabins can only be found on certain flights between JFK and LAX, and on all the flights between JFK and Heathrow. The Heathrow flights don't begin until August 11th, but they are available to book now. One thing that's tricky for domestic flights is that you actually have to click on the seat map itself to be able to tell which flights are offering the new cabins. There's no real way to tell from this list view. The old Mint cabins look like this, alternating between a 2-2 and a 1-1 configuration, while the new Mint cabins look like this, with a 1-1 configuration throughout. I did a sample search for September 13th. From JFK to LAX, you can find the new Mint cabins on Flight 123 departing at 7:15 a.m. and on Flight 2123 departing at 9 a.m. From LAX to JFK, you can find the new Mint cabins on Flight 424 departing at 11:45 a.m. and on Flight 1524 departing at 1:20 p.m. How much can you expect to pay for these new Mint suites? Well, the first thing to know is that if you want to book the larger Mint Studio Suite instead of a regular Mint Suite, there's a flat $199 surcharge on top of the base fare for domestic flights. For flights between JFK and LAX, the most common one-way base fares I saw were between $1,198 and $1,698. As a point of comparison, for the same route on the same date, American is charging between $1,159 to $2,304 for flagship first class. Delta is charging $1,413 for Delta One, and United is charging $2,058 for Polaris. If you use TrueBlue points, the Mint flight JFK to LAX would be between 110,000 to 156,000 points one way. The lowest one-way fare I found was $798 on October 11th, while the highest one-way fare I found was $2,203 on December 24th. Now, obviously fares change all the time, so the fares that you see by the time you watch this video may be very different. Now let's talk about Mint fares to London. If you want to book a Mint Studio Suite instead of a regular suite, there's a flat $299 surcharge on top of the base fare for London flights. For flights between JFK and Heathrow, most of the flights I've seen are $2,500 one way. If you wanted to use TrueBlue points, you'd need 247,500 points each way. As I mentioned, the London flights begin on August 11th, but they are available to book starting now. So what did Sean and Ella think of the new JetBlue Mint cabins?
So what do you think about Mint?
It's comfy and it's soft here and it's big and cozy. I like the fact that it has sleepy mode and a remote.
Your chair, right?
A remote and headphones.
There's room for your teddy bear over here.
Get your own thing.
Yeah, you can close the door, right?
And also you can go to sleep. Get mommy and daddy's seat because it's bigger.
The studio. But this one is already very nice.
Okay, if you'd like to find out why we're visiting 21 resorts in 2021, just click that video right there. If you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on notifications. And follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Top Flight Family. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.